Oh, hey, hun. I just got that invitation to that holiday game meetup
Oh,
thing
yeah?
that we were talking about. And, there's quite a list of games they're asking us to bring.
Oh, what kind?
Well, we've got, like, at least one buffing, deduction style game.
Okay.
They're asking for... They're asking for a cooperative, which, I know Josh hates, so
Yeah.
whatever. Makes sense to bring a couple of fillers, right? Because it's a party. So maybe something that's sort of like a press your luck style game, or maybe some light, like dexterity.
Yeah, those are always a hit.
Yeah, cool.
Are there going to be any kids there?
Yeah, definitely are going to be some kids. So something that's like stacking or something like that will be kind of fun. Probably want to bring something deeper though. So
Yeah, you want something heavy so that the, long-time gamers have something to think about.
something to do, right?
Yeah.
Although with this group, we may actually split up into smaller groups. So maybe it makes sense to bring a bunch of like 2-player games, maybe.
Yeah.
Um, we haven't played in a while. Something with a real-time element. Like a race style game where you're trying to do something faster than everybody else. Although speaking of everybody, this is a pretty big group, so we need something. We should have something that like everybody can play. Like 10 players or something like that. And it looks like there are going to be some devs there, so maybe we should bring just components.
Oh yeah.
Just like in case people want to like jam a little bit and like
make your own.
Yeah.
Okay.
And a single deck of regular style playing cards.
Oh, okay.
All right. This is a pretty extensive list, though. This is going to be a lot for us to haul over there. Oh, cool. Yeah, that'll do it. All that you see before you is Pyramid Arcade, but Pyramid Arcade is more than just what you see before you. Created by Andrew Looney of Looney Labs, which is probably most famous for Flux, which is this ever-changing, chaotic card game that sometimes we playfully poke fun at, even though we had a blast playing it all the time in college. Pyramid Arcade is more than just a game. In fact, it's more than just 22 games, which is what the box will tell you it is. It's even more than a set of components and pieces that can be arranged and rearranged to play not just the 22 games that are covered in the instructions, but many, many more besides, including games of your own extrapolation and creation. Pyramid Arcade is a distillation of an arc of one of the most prolific game designers I've ever encountered, and as far as we're concerned, it's worthy of his legacy.
So, when we first opened the box, it was this explosion of colors and pyramids. and all of these pieces, boards and cards
and dice and
chunky first player tokens. It was a little overwhelming.
Right, and the rule book is this hefty, big rule book, because obviously it's got to cover the rules for like all these different games. But the truth is, these components are kind of simple. They're abstract appropriately in design, and you kind of look at each of them and you can see, they're just colors and shapes, and that's really all they are. And yet, once you start diving into it, it's clear that while this is the dominant shape, the most important word in the title of this game is not pyramid, it's arcade.
Yeah, this is a gaming system. Sort of like a PlayStation.
Branded, trademarked.
Yes.
Can't talk about that.
But, with those types of things, you have to wonder, I'm getting 22 games in one box. How good can they be?
Right. Are they trying to compensate quality with quantity?
Yeah.
Because we're children from the Nintendo era, and everybody saw those carts that were at the flea market that promised 52 games in one or whatever, and they were all
awful.
Absolutely terrible. Just every single one was terrible. Kids, it was awful. It was a terrible time.
You can't go back.
I refuse. But so that was the question, right?
Yeah.
Are 22 games quality, or would one really good game be better? Like, how good can all of this really be? And
surprise, surprise.
Fortunately, the answer is like, they're good.
Yeah.
These are good games, and I mean, we like some of them more, and we like some of them a lot more. And most of them are abstract, which is fitting given their origin, but they're not all abstract. Some of them kind of have a meta theme that gets pasted on top of them. And we can talk about a few of the specifics, but what was really interesting to me when I first looked at it, it was like, this is Andrew Looney. This is like a huge thing that they have created. This is clearly the end, or rather an apex, right?
A culmination.
A culmination. We've already said magnum opus. We can't go back. To a huge amount of work, and it comes through. There's personality here that I wasn't expecting.
It's also really interesting because this isn't just one type of set of games for one gamer. This really applies to everyone.
Right, and that's part of the challenge. When we sat down to review it and we started writing up our notes, it was like
there's so much here.
I don't really know. I almost didn't know how to start reviewing it, because we can talk about the specific games, and we should, but we wanted to approach it from the systematic perspective, right? From the perspective of the arcade as much as from the pyramids. And so this is a game that realistically anybody could own and get use out of. He is chewing my finger off. The goal of Martian chess is to capture more pieces than your opponent. What's interesting about this game is that color doesn't actually mean anything. Instead, control over pieces is determined by what side of the board they're on at any given time.
Ice Towers is a real-time stacking game where players are trying to take control of towers. There are no turns, and you try to play as fast as you can.
In Color Wheel, the group has a limited number of moves it can make to cluster pyramids together by color. You can swap pyramids that are adjacent by size and the pyramids that are adjacent by color. And that's just a few. Honestly, there's a lot of games in here, as we keep saying, and so each one of these cards represents a fully formed game that you can play using Pyramid Arcade. It's just too much to go over all in one review. And they're a really diverse lot, too. You've got games like Homeworld. It's a thinky, strategic, long-playing, two-player game. You've got like Black Ice, which is a fast-playing deduction game about hackers trying to guess the access code for a computer system, and it has this really neat mechanism where it uses the opaque black dice to obscure the colors that form the part of the access code. And games like Dice Ice. This is a filler. It's fast. You roll some custom dice, you collect some pyramids, you push your luck, and sometimes you bust and you get nothing. It really is a ton of stuff to go over, so we can't go over all of it, but we really enjoyed everything we've played. And that's Pyramid Arcade. What do you think?
I think it's brilliant. I mean, here you have an entire gaming library in a single box. If you're the kind of person that just wants to own one thing that will be able to entertain anyone who comes to visit, any group, or even just playing by yourself, you got it right there.
Yeah, you talked about, like, there are games in here that you totally could play with your mom, and there are games in here that we could bring to board game night, and there are games that we play just the two of us.
And if somebody brings their kids over, we've got it handled.
Well, I mean, I would not let a kid handle my game, but that's a totally different conversation. I'm a collector. I'm weird. I agree. I think it is pretty brilliant. There is something about it that I think is kind of sublime, like the rule book.
Oh,
is
God.
like the rule book is actually one of my favorite parts.
Yeah. Right here. This is my favorite part.
So yeah, it's a page of just like every game, it's vitals, it's the bullet, and it's like, we have 4 people, they want to play a fast game, it has to be cooperative, what do I do? Or there are 2 of us, we're looking for something a little bit longer, what of these games are going to be best suited for us? Yeah. And there's actually the equivalent of this page in card form, so you could shuffle them up and deal them out.
Yeah, random games.
Exactly. I think it's actually very beautiful.
Yeah.
In its way. Like, there's very little art, but the art here I actually really like, from this, like, weird, almost like science textbook thing that the box cover does for me, to all of the icons for the different games. It is almost it's like 95% language independent.
Yep.
So there's very little in the way of game components that use language. I mean, obviously the rules are in a language, but the idea is really that just anybody can play, and
they even
it's really cool.
They have extra ways of scaling things up and down.
Yeah, right. If you need to make a game less complicated because you got little ones, or like however you want to do it, it's just really neat. I think it's just a really intriguing and valuable piece of gaming history. It sounds a little hyperbolic, but it's also a fun game. It's fun toys, like it's totally playable too.
Speaking about game history, I also love that they've included that in the rule book.
Oh, right. Yeah, for sure. Like, you read the rule book, you'll learn a lot about Andrew Looney, Looney Labs, the sort of the history of... He writes a history of the pyramids that has, very little to do with pharaohs being buried in them. Although Pharaoh is one of the 22 games.
True.
The other thing about it that I just find really resonant is that it's the kind of thing that, because it relies on abstract game concepts distilled down to these very clean forms, I think it has longer shelf life than other, maybe even more complicated or certainly more fussily made games. I'm a fan of abstract, so like that this does it for me, but you're not really.
But this still works for me. And I really, like you said, it's going to last a long time because it continues to grow.
That's right.
They have a really active community online that designs their own games, and you can go and download the rules, and you constantly are getting more ways to use this box.
Yeah, people have and will continue to make games for the arcade, and I just think that's so cool.
Yeah.
Like, I'm so glad that we got a review copy of this and that this is in my library, and I don't see parting with it anytime soon. And as far as I'm concerned, that's it.
Yeah, this is a winner. Totally.
Totally. Well, I'm Andrew. This is Jess. Thanks for watching Gameosity. We'll see you next game.
Hey there. Thanks for watching. If you want to see more videos like this, give us a like and hit that subscribe button. And we'll see you next game.